Hi, I'm Jada. And these are some of my favorite jeans. A few weeks ago, American Eagle dropped what they call their biggest ad spend ever. Sydney Sweeney in denim, looking like Sydney Sweeney in denim. The tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. Wordplay, right? Jeans. Except the internet immediately lost its collective mind. Half the people were like, this is genius marketing, right? Of course. The other half were screaming about eugenics and Nazi propaganda. It's just jeans in a bad ad plan. But then I started digging into what actually happened. And honestly, the whole thing is kind of way more complicated than anyone's giving it credit for. So today, we're going to break down whether American Eagle's controversial campaign was brilliant strategy or just a really expensive accident. And spoiler alert, it might be both. The ad that broke the internet. Let's set the scene. July 23rd, 2025, American Eagle launches this campaign with Sydney Sweeney as the face. The main ad shows her in a Canadian tuxedo. That's denim on denim for anyone that's keeping track. And she delivers this voiceover. My genes are passed down from my parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue. And then the tagline hits, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Okay? Now on paper, this is just a corny pun. The kind of wordplay you might roll your eyes at or groan a little bit. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting. Sydney Sweeney is blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and the camera kind of lingers on her a little bit while she's talking about good genes. The internet said, wait a minute. And within hours, social media exploded. People were calling it a dog whistle. Others were making comparisons to eugenics. The phrase Nazi propaganda started trending alongside Sydney Sweeney's name. Now, I've been in marketing for over a decade, and when something moves this fast and a reaction this intense, I have to ask, did American Eagle know this was going to happen? The criticism came from everywhere. TikTok creators were making response videos. Doja Cat posted a whole parody that got over like 20 million views. People on Twitter were dissecting every frame of the ad. The main argument was this. In 2025, with everything going on politically, maybe don't make an ad where a blonde, blue-eyed actress talks about having great genes while the camera focuses purely on her appearance. Marketing professor Marcus Collins from the University of Michigan put it this way. What it communicates is that there is a prototypical standard for good genes: white, blonde hair, blue eyes. Considering the political and social cultural backdrop that we're currently in right now, that could seem like some pretty bad dog whistling. Optics, not great. But then something interesting happened. Conservative media and politicians jumped to defend the ad. Ted Cruz tweeted, wow, now that's crazy. The left has come out against beautiful women. I'm sure that will poll well. JD Vance said on a podcast, my political advice to Democrats is to continue to tell everyone who thinks Sydney Sweeney is attractive is a Nazi. Even Trump weighed in, calling it the hottest ad out there. All that aside, we've got a jeans commercial that's become a fully blown cultural war battleground, which honestly is kind of impressive in its own way, own twisted way. Here's where most companies will panic. Issue an apology, pull the ad, maybe fire the creative team. Standard crisis PR playbook, right? American Eagle did the exact opposite. For over a week, while the internet was tearing itself apart over their ad, they said, Nothing. Radio silence, which is either the worst crisis management I've ever seen or the most confident. When they finally responded, it wasn't an apology. They posted, Sydney Sweeney has great jeans, is and always was just about jeans. Her jeans, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears American Eagle jeans with confidence. Their way, great jeans look good on everyone. That's not damage control. That's doubling down. You know what? I think it kind of worked. Kind of. The numbers don't lie, but they're complicated. Okay? This is where it really gets interesting. The stock price shot up 23% in one day after Trump's endorsement. American Eagle went from down 30% for the year to suddenly being a meme stock. Investors poured over $300 million into the company. And social media mentions up 18 times normal levels. The campaign generated roughly 3,000 new articles, reaching around 50 million readers. That's earned media you literally cannot buy. Here's where it gets interesting. Well, not interesting, a little bit messy, right? All the attention didn't translate to people actually buying jeans, which you would think is the main point. Foot traffic to American Eagle stores dropped 3.9% in the first week after the campaign. The next week, down almost 9%. And this was during back to school season, which is their Super Bowl of jean sales, right? Website traffic spiked, sure, but actual sales stayed flat. Their denim market share didn't budge at all. So we've got this weird situation where American Eagle created this massive buzz, got a whole stock rally, dominated the news cycle, but didn't actually sell more jeans. Was this marketing genius or a disaster? And I think it's kind of both, and here's why. First, let's talk about what went right. American Eagle managed to turn a clothing brand into a cultural conversation. They got politicians, celebrities, and millions of us regular people talking about their jeans. The earned media value alone was worth more than their entire ad spend, right? They also tapped into something real about brand polarization. In 2025, everything is political, right? Some brands are leaning into that instead of trying to stay neutral. American Eagle basically said, fine, if we can't please everyone, let's at least be memorable to someone. But here's what went wrong. Their target audience is Gen Z, 15 to 25-year-olds. They're most likely to find the ad inappropriate. A YouGov poll showed only 44% of 18 to 29-year-olds approved of the ad, compared to 70% of people over 65. They alienated their whole core customers to appeal to people who probably don't shop at American Eagle anyway, right? The campaign also suffered from what I call attention without intent. Remember that? Yeah, everybody was talking about American Eagle, but they weren't talking about why they should buy American Eagle jeans. The conversation became about the controversy, not anything about the actual product. What's the real marketing lesson? Here's what I think actually happened. American Eagle created a campaign with a risky pun, right? They probably knew they would get some pushback, but I don't think they anticipated it becoming a full-blown cultural war. But once it did, they made a calculated decision to lean into the controversy, right? Rather than apologize. They figured that backing down would alienate the people who were actually defending them, while not really winning back the people who were already mad, right? It's a high risk, high reward strategy that becomes more common. Instead of trying to appeal to everyone, brands are picking a side and going all in. Did it work? Depends on how you measure success. If the goal was awareness and buzz, absolutely. If the goal was selling jeans to their target demographic, not so much. So what can we take away from this whole mess? First, controversy can be a marketing tool, but it's a dangerous one. American Eagle got a massive attention boost, but they also alienated a lot of their core customers. Make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. All right? Remember that. Make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. Second, if you're going to be provocative, have a plan for what comes next. American Eagle got everyone's attention, but didn't have a clear path from attention to action. Third, know your audience. American Eagle's campaigns resonated with older, more conservative consumers, but their actual customers are young and progressive. That's a fundamental mismatch. Finally, sometimes the best marketing doesn't feel like marketing. The most successful campaigns tell stories that people want to share, not because they're controversial, but because they're compelling. So was the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney campaign marketing genius, or was it a PR disaster? And honestly, it was a fascinating experiment in modern brand building that probably shouldn't be replicated. They proved you can turn controversy into currency, but they also showed the limits of that strategy. All the buzz in the world doesn't matter if it doesn't translate to business results. The campaign will definitely be studied in marketing classes for years to come, pretty sure. Whether as an example of what to do or what not to do, I guess we'll let fate decide that. Those are my thoughts. What do you think? Was this a calculated risk-taking or just a really expensive mistake? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of marketing moments that made everybody go, what just happened? Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, remember, in marketing, there's no such thing as bad publicity, but there is such thing as wasted publicity. Peace. I've got on the Levi 501 original fit selvage. I have here, I've got the Ironheart 555s, 14 ounce, Naked and Famous, Vulgar Selvage 2. Okay. I also have one of my personal favorites, the Raleigh Workshop Denim Jones New American. Person who made them actually signed their name. Ironheart 555 16 ounce slubbies. All right, I just wanted to show you guys a couple of my favorite great jeans.